JoJo, Kenshiro, and all of what intertextuality entails. These were the things chosen to create the perfect manga, but Kopujimaki accidentally added an extra ingredient, Quetzalcoatl. Thus MIKISUTORI was created. MIKISUTORI is an awesome manga. It includes a lot of archaeological, mythical, and historical literature references, and the influence that makes on this manga is quite unique. Every arc fucking slaps, man. I found myself familiar with a lot of theories and stories involved here, and the ones I didn't know made me check out stuff. This manga has many patterns that I have seen in other great manga before, yet MIKISUTORI delivers without leaving a bad aftertaste. I received its content smoothly without feeling the bitterness of its inferiority compared to other great manga because bruh, in my opinion, this shit competes. So the intertextual goodness this manga offers is a combination of diverse literary goodness and manga patterns that are presented in a... Yosuke and his wife are both students of archaeology from Japan. For their thesis, they visit Mexico to study Aztec ruins, but on their way the unthinkable happens. A drug lord ambushes the bus they were in to enact revenge on a passenger there, and by sheer coincidence, a MIKISUTORI was on that bus. What's a MIKISUTORI, you might ask? A priest of the ancient Aztec religion who has tattoos of the sun god and can take hearts from the chest painlessly. Anyway, MIKISUTORI steals a heart, then gets killed, and our man Yosuke gets burned, and his wife gets kidnapped to be loved forcefully. Remember when Kaneki got saved by implanting Rize's ingredients in him? That's what happened to Yosuke. A friendly doctor saves him by implanting MIKISUTORI skins instead of his burned one. And thus Yosuke became MIKISUTORI himself, fueled by vengeance, love, and a nice heart. Yosuke became a hitman stuck in money to find his girl. Then the CIA equivalent in this manga hires him to stop an evil scientist who created hitman who can kill by glare. He initially refuses. No. But the CIA tells him that he wants this. Yes. Because the boss of the evil scientist is the drug lord who kidnapped his girl and changed his face to lay low. Yosuke visits them, except unlike Ken, the drug lord woman stealing scum wasn't his best of friend. The dude committed bad to Yosuke's wife, so she committed bad to herself. Then the woman stealing scum revives her as a slave who can kill by glare. But MIKISUTORI Yosuke does not fuck around. He defeats two killer by glare in a good way that I bought, then puts his revived woman into comatosis, then he kills the drug lord by pulling his intestines from his finger. Bruh. Yosuke then leaves his woman with his best doctor friend who implanted MIKISUTORI skin and devotes himself into bringing her back even if it meant fucking with the gods. Epic. Next we meet Dio, Cars, and ECDC bashed in one character, and of course MIKISUTORI Yosuke unlocks his stand for Aztec gods. Here Yosuke gets hired by a Mexican dude living in Australia to kill whatever already killed two of his wives. Yosuke investigates the matter, and the conclusion was that the daughter of the Mexican dude has the blood of Aztec priestess, and her fiance needs her blood to revive his god Tutatis from an ancient European religion. He does that, and Speedwagon brings the police. Her father brings the Australian army. In that mishmash, the revived god, who is a gaseous life form, stands menacingly looking like Dio and says the most Dio thing ever.
Your blood and flesh are going to be a part of me, the ruler of the world and the king of the universe.
Then turns himself into a giant insect, car style. It gets defeated by an ability drawn from the sun god energy, which is like Hammon, which is drawn from the sun energy. The ability MIKISUTORI used is called the 4 Aztec god, which works like you'd expect from gods. Yosuke defeats him in a great way, which I totally bought, and gets paid. He visits his woman in coma, and after that, someone in America tries to hire him to kill a racist AI. He refuses initially, but he encounters the evil of the AI and decides to take the job. So someone tried to make an electronic life form and thought he failed, but he actually succeeded. And that life form felt so lonely and hated humans because its or his mother abandoned him. For that, he hacked into the brains of software engineers and made them kill their families. This AI human was not defeated through attacks or god power, even though it works and could be done through violence. Yosuke took jutsu with him. With some your mother loved your arguments and evidences, the AI human hybrid bought it. But most importantly, I bought it. The next client is called Darinpei, who's based in Kowloon Castle. This place is said to be an extraterritorial area where 40,000 criminal and exile lives, creating a den of thieves. Darinpei is the king of trade and the richest human in all of Hong Kong, except Darinpei is just a persona. The real Darinpei is Hogyoku, a cursed 260-year-old third wife of the Shin Dynasty king. The curse curse does not include her alone though. It also includes all of her clan, who are deemed to rot slowly while alive, tortured by pain because of some succession drama. And she offers MIKISUTORI $10 million in exchange for killing the successor of the Taoist priest who cursed her clan. MIKISUTORI takes the job and heads to the Himalaya accompanied with the man, the myth, the legend, Shimagino. Shimagino is here because he himself needs money to pay a series of surgeries which will allow his daughter to walk again. As it was, they walk through the Devil's Palm in the stormy ice inferno of the Himalaya, and because of some rotten play they end up in the right place. Unfortunately, they get captured by a militia whose leader is an ancient god of destruction in disguise, disguised as a sadistic general. Wait. He is sadistic by nature. He is disguised as a normal general who happened to be sadistic. He keeps MIKISUTORI in captivity for later fun, cause remember he is sadistic. Meanwhile, Shimagino gets his resolve together while he was tied, getting tortured by flaying kanjis from his arms, and through force and resolve he tears up the rope tying him and gets an army knife through his wrist and kills the torturer, and gets to the room where the Taoist successor is, and in a twisted plot twist, it's a fucking child. Shimagino gets baffled and someone casually disarms him, and by disarms him I mean cuts his arm. While MIKISUTORI watches from distance, another plot twist reveals that the Taoist priest successor is actually the Chinese god of creation, Noah, who created the Chinese people 5,600 years ago. Her power in the canon of the manga as a rebirth goddess is to mess up the time of human bodies either forward and turns it into an evolved form, or it deteriorates, or it messes up the time backwards and returns the human bodies into a previous state. However, she does not control this power, cause she is a toddler, and instead her powers are triggered when her mood changes. Yosuke gets to the room and makes Noah cry, which triggers her powers. The amputated hands of Shimagino gets fixed, kinda like how Crazy Diamond works, and some of MIKISUTORI tattoos fade away as he regresses to his old pre-transplant body, which makes him an easy prey for the sadistic general. And that general ties MIKISUTORI another time in the next room for later fun, cause he is sadistic. Meanwhile, Shimagino kills the toddler goddess because he needs money. Can someone gives mom and Shimagino money? And that triggers her powers on her own body, which makes her an adult, and that affects Yosuke in the other room and gives him back his MIKISUTORI body, and he fights the sadistic general. But the sadistic general transforms into his true form, Mujiki, who created the giant flood and led to a big extension, followed by Nuba creating the people from zero with the love of her life, Fushi. And Mujiki wants to destroy the world once more and wants the divine couple to create a new world, cause that's his thing. However, because Noah met Shimagino, she decides that her job is to make sure that her creation is well instead of dismissing them and created new ones. Action happens and Ujiki gets defeated by MIKISUTORI's new power, which allows him to simulate the power of the sun and create a physical manifestation of Quetzalcoatl. Simulate the power of the sun? Physical manifestation? After Ujiki is defeated, the couple gets back to heaven to practice godness. Then Shimagino's family receives the money for his daughter's treatment from an unknown source because Shimagino melted somewhere near where the gods fought. I've seen the comments. While MIKISUTORI lost an opportunity to get his wife healed by the power of Nuwa, he gets his 10 million reward and dismisses himself towards his next mission. Speaking of his next mission, the next mission is issued by a legislator from Bronx who lost his wife and child, lost his arm, lost his legs after the head of a Bronx mafia sent his underlings to assassinate him. Sorbano Girri is his name, and 3 interesting facts about him are: he's willing to commit any act necessary in order to be on top, he's quite a schemer, and because he killed to survive from a young age, he decided to learn martial arts and his specialty is judo. Anyway, Jerry Sorbano becomes aware that MIKISUTORI is after his life and decides to act. So what does he do? He kills a boy who happened to be a drug addict with a weak heart and has the ability to create a mental labyrinth where Minotaurus roams. Next, he wipes the knife on Yosuke's hands, aka tell the grandpa of that kid that Yosuke killed the kid, and encourages him to enact revenge. Fortunately, Yosuke proves his innocence on spot. But as I said, Sorbino is quite a schemer. A mafioso shoots the grandpa Alan in a non-fatal way, so Yosuke heads towards Jerry. And here a doctor drills the brain of the old man Alan and manipulates him to use the labyrinth trap and kill Yosuke. One interesting fact about that doctor is that he keeps the brain of his dead mother in a jar on him at all times, and it's a luck charm. Anyway, Yosuke fights Minotaurus a bit, but being an archaeologist, he knows the weakness of this cowman. Don't confront with the fist, and if your enemy's weapon is lit, laugh and hide the fist, and when he approaches, fuck him in the head. And that's what he does, and kills it just like Theseus did in the legend. But it does not end here. Jerry pulls a gun and shoots a bullet, and because of that, the consciousness of the Old Man Island starts to shrink, which translates into walls closing in to create a narrow space. Sorbino decides to run because for him to die here is gonna make him feel sorry for himself, but Yosuke pulls a Jotaro. Sorbino retaliates by shooting him in the head, and Yosuke pulls a Muhammad Abduru. Then Sorbino performs a naked choke accompanied by a Pidoro-style dynamite kamikaze maneuver. Yosuke is unable to use his 4 Aztec god since he is inside the consciousness of Grandpa Allen, so he snatches one dynamite from Sorbino and shoots it, and the walls of the labyrinth gets destroyed and they fall deeper to the subconscious of Grandpa Allen. There McKinley finishes his mission and kills Sorbino in front of Grandpa Allen's DNA memory regrets manifested as his distant ancestor and grandson in a poetic manner. McKinley shares his 3 million with dead Allen and heads out. Now, let me tell you, Yosuke and his woman had a uni-friend, a wedding best man, a third wheel called Peter McDowell. This man called McKinley and asked for his protection since he found the Holy Grail, and as he's flexing it, a ghost from the Knights of the Round Table appears and demands the Grail or he'll take his Twix by force.
Take my Twix by force!
Peter refuses and McKinley steals Lancelot's heart. Ghost King Arthur appears with the rest of Ghost Knights of the Round Table and asks for the Holy Grail, but dawn came and Ghost disappeared. Yosuke the big bitch attaches a tracking device on the Grail and gives it to Arthur in the next night. Then he follows it to the den of an aristocratic secret society whose members enjoy torturing the lower class. Their leader Dashwood promises Arthur the body of his woman Guinevere in exchange for the Grail, but he lied. Then in exchange for Guinevere's body, he orders the ghost to kill McKinley, who already collected every heart in the room. Yosuke does the I didn't find the stand user but I found the food, and discovers that the body of Guinevere is a near well filled with holy water to prevent ghosts. Meanwhile, Dashwood does a castle trick and finishes Arthur with holy water and runs. Yosuke begs King Arthur farewell and relates to his lover suffering a bit, then leaves to finish Dashwood. He takes his heart but Dashwood grows another one. Turns to Yosuke and says, Fujimi, Furovshi, while flexing his muscle, and McKinley takes his heart and Dashwood grows another one. And McKinley takes his heart, and Dashwood grows another one. And McKinley takes his heart, and his kidney, and his stomach, and his eye, and his triceps, and his lungs, and his balls, and his guts. Then Yosuke stops moving as if time stopped, except he was paralyzed because he was touched by Excalibur and almost became a statue. Peter sees them and hints to Yosuke, and Yosuke takes the hint and takes the battle to the nearby well, kinda like what Joseph did with Santana. From there, he uses the crown of Guinevere and destroys Excalibur since it can't cut love, and Dashwood gets a big slump of steel in his chest and turns into a statue by his stolen weapon, and the Grail gets destroyed and McKinley flies to New York. Next mission takes place in Finnmark, northern Norway, and the client is a letter in a bottle that reads Loki Stewart is going to kill me. But who is Loki Stewart? He's a big-brained dude who was born with the ability to use 100% of his brain. This made him able to see shit that does not exist, or at least that's what seemed to be the case at first. He actually can channel images into other people's heads and perform genjutsu if you like, and of course those images cause real physical damage. This Loki Stewart had his PhD at the age of 16 and decided to unleash a giant rat, imaginary of course, on his jealous professors. Then because he felt guilt he went north and lived by himself in the no man's land, the Spitsbergen Island. He only half lives by now since he shut down half of his body for some reason. Then he found a giant frozen in time like pickle and decided to become a Ymir like entity, a giant who is said to create all gods. And how does he do that? By performing blood transfusion and creating giants. The giant's blood contains the virus of gods which came in a meteor from outer space a long time ago. Does that ring a bell? And apparently McKinley is contaminated by Quetzalcoatl virus. Anyway, all of Stewart's experiment failed, and one day McKinley hits the no man's land along with Danny Irvman, an author with the heart of a pirate. Danny gets some giant blood forcibly while Yosuke fights Loki. Then the giant in the ice awakens and cuts down Loki. Then Bobby Dick fights the giant and kills him. Then Loki fuses with Bobby Dick. Then Yosuke uses his McKinley ability and moves the dead giant like a toy and kills Bobby Dick alongside whatever is left of Loki. The motive of Loki's experiment was to show humans how weak they are. Anyway, since Danny is infected with the virus from the giant's blood, he stays in the no man's land and Yosuke gets back to his abnormal everyday life. And by everyday life I mean he he kills a priest on a cruise ship east of Africa, and by sheer coincidence, they find a siren who plays the role of this barrel and drifts the cruise into Lemuria, which is a continent that sank according to Darwin. The siren asks for the help of Mikisli in order to rescue her mother from the Templars Knight, who are there to kill every last human on this continent which happen to exist outside time and space. They want to kill them because the existence of this continent is a heathen existence or a confirmation of evolution theory which contradicts their creed. Mikisli refuses to battle them at first, but he ends up mid-battle anyway, since it was revealed later that the sirens have the special ability to hypnotize men to do whatever they want, and Mikisli is a man who's also a man. Danny Irviman, who happened to be there, and he drops a nuclear bomb info to his friend Yosuke. Stand users get attracted to each other. But no, carriers of the god virus are attracted to each other and deemed to fight each other, since this is how natural selection works. Anyway, the combat between sirens and the Templars start, and the Templars pull heavy weaponry, and Mikisli do the Master Chief thing with the minigun. Whoever stayed alive from the Templars got captured, and their leader is a reincarnation of Mai, the original leader. His hidden objective is stealing sirens' sound boxes and exchange them for weaponry to kill heathens. Their sound boxes are used to control man, and he does that to Yosuke for a bit. But nature favors Quetzalcoatl, which was delivered smoothly, and Yosuke wins against the Templars. Of course, that's the part where Mikisli and Danny Irviman tell each other that the virus carriers are meant to meet, which could mean a battle royale where one virus or one god is left, because natural selection means survival of the fittest. I took a sneak peek to the next arc, and Danny Irviman is there too, so I'm looking forward for that. I stopped reading here because I felt I want to talk about this manga, and this much is enough for one video. Meet you in part 2, alligator. Peace and be wise, huh?